930,000 more to be deported from the U.S. Attorney calls for speedy trial after case lags for 20 years. Police report 35.9% reduction in crime. This is Undiluted News. Mikey Bones reporting. Migrants who obtain temporary permission to live in the United States through the CBP One app under former President Joe Biden have all received orders to self-deport immediately, U.S. media reported on Tuesday. A U.S. Department of Homeland Security spokesperson told AFP that formal termination notices have been issued to certain illegal aliens but did not provide details on how they were selected. Starting in January of 2023, the CBP One app allowed migrants to schedule appointments at certain southwestern U.S. ports of entry and was central part of the Biden administration's humanitarian parole strategy. The latest order could affect more than 930,000 migrants, and the latest order comes after the Trump administration terminated the legal status of 532,000 Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelan migrants last month, giving them just weeks to leave the country. Over in Jamaica, John Clark, attorney at law and chairman of Jamaicans for Justice, is calling for the implementation of speedy trial legislation to prevent inordinate delays and ensure accountability in the justice system. Mr. Clark's call follows a feature aired on Tuesday during the discussion segment of Radio Jamaica's Beyond the Headlines. The feature captured the story of a mother whose children perished in a fire 20 years ago and the eventual freeing of two men who had been arrested and charged in 2004 for the murder of the children. The men were freed in January of this year after Justice Leighton Pusey explained that the 20-year delay in settling the matter was unwarranted and a third trial would be unfair. Mr. Clark said the case warrants a re-examination of the justice system with a view to finding ways to prevent unreasonable delays. And Jamaica's justice system is among the worst in the world. How can you have a case and 20 years later it is not tried? That is the same reason why the police have now become judge, jury, and executioner, because when they bring in the gunmen, the judge let them out back on the street within weeks and their case is never tried because they just come out and kill the eyewitnesses. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is reporting a 35.9% decline in murders between January 1st and April 5th this year when compared to the same period in 2024. The JCF crime data shows that 191 homicides were recorded up to April 5th. And if you look at last year, January 1st to April 5th, there were 298 murders. This year, we have 107 fewer than we did last year. A man who was caught in possession of a ratchet knife was fined $2,000 on Tuesday after pleading guilty to carrying an offensive weapon in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court. Admitting to the offense, Lloyd Beckford told presiding judge Peter Wilson that he had an explanation. When asked why he had the ratchet knife in his pocket, Beckford explained that he was just carrying it while driving home from work. However, the judge dismissed his explanation and imposed a fine of $2,000 or a 10-day prison sentence. So the system allows the gunman to walk around with a gun to shoot, but regular citizens cannot have a knife to defend themselves. Jamaicans for Justice, meanwhile, is expressing concern over reports that police and soldiers have been observed wearing face masks and balaclavas while conducting public duties. And the group is now calling on the Jamaica Defense Force and the Jamaica Constabulary Force leadership to publicly disclose any protocols concerning the wearing of masks and balaclavas during general public duty or planned tactical operations. The group added that though there might be necessary reasons for the coverings, it is critical that citizens have a reliable means to identify lawmen so that they can report misconduct to the JCF, the JDF, and the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, and other relevant oversight bodies. In other words, a policeman can box you down without reason while wearing a mask, and there's no way to report him because you don't know what he looks like. Meanwhile, the police in St. Mary seized more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition and multiple firearm parts in Castleton in St. Mary yesterday. The police said the illegal items were found in an abandoned four-bedroom concrete structure in Devon Pen in Castleton. The area was searched and the police discovered two black grocery bags and one brown bag concealed in a front room. Upon inspection, the bags were found to contain a significant cache of ammunition and nine firearm magazines. So that's 1,000 rounds of ammunition off the street. Onto sports. Premier League battle continues this weekend, but the real fight is going to be with Waterhouse in sixth place on 49 points, Tivoli and Racing United both with 48, and all three are fighting for sixth place, which is the last playoff spot, but Racing have played two games less. Last night Racing lost to Mount Pleasant 2-1 and will try again on Monday. Mount Pleasant are now on 78 points, which is 9 above second place Montego Bay United, while Racing remain on 48 points in 8th place. Jamaica Reggae Boys have now been drawn in Group C for the 18th edition of the CONCACAF Gold Cup that will be hosted by Canada and the United States between June 14 and July 6 later this year. The four groups were confirmed in a draw held yesterday, and the Reggae Boys have been drawn alongside Panama, Guatemala, and Guadeloupe, and that's a tough group but winnable by Jamaica. And that's news and sports. If you missed the news on this radio, please go to YouTube, type in Jamerican Undiluted News, listen, like, share, and subscribe to keep it going. That's news. My name is Mikey Bones. I gone.